Hello, right, this is a Jetson Xavier NX. It's not a gadget like a Raspberry Pi. In some senses, you can see that's the actual main board there under the heatsink, and there's a carrier board that provides all the external connections from the multi-way connector. Under the heatsink, there is a big chip that has got an NVIDIA GPU on it, which is, as most GPUs, it's a device with vast numbers of very simple computing cores that can do a lot of calculations very quickly. This can do 20 million simple maths operations per second. It's got 16 gigs of memory, and hidden away somewhere in there, there's an NVRAM. Sorry, an NVRAM. What we call now? A flash memory module. I've forgotten the correct term now. Well, I don't know how to use them. Basically, it's an SSD. I got M2 SSD under the thing. So it's got power. That's my keyboard and mouse. I've unplugged the Ethernet cable. There's no Wi-Fi. And HDMI video. Turn the power on. Let it boot up. You should see the screen coming up now on the second video. That's booting up. So it boots Linux, again very similar to a Raspberry Pi in that sense. And it's got some extra stuff for the NVIDIA hardware. Starts off for a second just whilst it's doing the work. I've got a separate keyboard and mouse linked to that USB little dongle. So I'm using that just sat on top of my normal PC keyboard. Still waiting for this to finish booting up. There we go. I can see past this thing what I'm recording with. Now that I've not got video recording capability. Sorry, direct screen recording capability with this, so I'm going to use a camera pointed at the screen. I'll just wait for this to finish loading up. Go. Right, a terminal open. And then we scroll up and get the last commands are used. There we go. Okay, come on, there we go. Right. Running a program called KobaldCPP, which is an optimized and compiled version of the Llama language system used to run Chat GPT and such large language model databases as that, to give them a conversational interface. Now it's the online so-called AI systems or emulated intelligence. Now I'm going to load into that the database model, which is that Luna AI. You can see it was written for the Llama 2, which is the similar system to the OpenAI Chat GPT ones. The uncensored bit just means it's not a children version. It doesn't mean it's anything obscene. The Q4 means it's quantized to 4-bit values to reduce the size of the database and reduce the memory usage. That one's the 8-bit version, and it's just a lot bigger, and it's a bit slow on this. So using that, if I select that and then launch the program itself, move that across there a bit. I want now if you notice on here, that URL allows you to use a web browser to talk to it. That URL is OpenAI compatible, so any program that could work with the online Chat GPT can equally well work with this, just by giving it the board's IP address on the LAN. Put 5001/v1, and you don't need any internet external connection other than between the machine that's talking to it. I mean, this isn't talking to anything, it's got no network connection because I'm running directly on the machine. And you've got absolute privacy, no leaking what you're talking about or anything else if you're using a voice assistant. It's remembered what I was doing before. Okay. New session, just clear that. Okay, get a clean start. Right. Okay, now this is not online, so it hasn't got real-time access to such as weather and world events. But other than that, it is a working conversational intelligence, what you want to call it that. It's a conversational agent. So, for example, what is 4 times 64? I'm delivering mixing words and numbers and digits. Thinking. Oh, I made a mistake, started it. Try again, sorry. Okay. That's running on the CPU run, the GPU. I forgot to set a variable. Try again. Now it would have taken minutes to come up with an answer at that. As well as selecting the model, I've got to tell it to use the GPU. I've got the GPU layers is set at 0. I should be at 32. Right, there we go, wait for that to load up. Just opt to give it the correct options. Enable the things you're trying to demonstrate. So that's back on. So again, click new session again, that's okay, right. So there's a different number. Right, okay. It does help if you don't make typos. Four times 192. Yeah, So you can see the response time there is quite good. And if I bring up the power monitor, move that over so you can see that. You can see the CPU cores there load, and also notice very specifically the GPU load. It's thinking of things to ask it. Simple problem, but as you can see, it understands the question and gives a conversational result and explanation, just the same as the offline version. And that's all running on that little gadget there. You can see the power it's taken. You can see the GPU load rather, increase when it's doing things. I wasn't actually watching that because the phone's in the way that I'm recording on. You can see the load change when it's actually thinking about things, if you like, before it finishes replying, or before it starts reply. General knowledge. And quick responses. Now this, I've been using this with my home automation setup using Home Assistant, which works quite nicely, but unfortunately you can see this is slightly slow actually coming up with the English version of the response. It takes time. You can see it rather than just appearing as a finished line. It comes on character by character, and the voice response can't start until it's got the entire response. So if you ask it something that has a very long answer, there's quite a long delay before this finishes creating the response and it's passed on to the voice side for it to say what the result was. I mean, a similar thing happens with Chat GPT, but the response character speed on that is a lot higher. But, you can see it is actually working as a completely self-contained and standalone large language model with full conversational capability. And so thinking of things to to actually ask it or tell it. Oh, I know. Don't know if I'll do that. Yes. So the information content in that database is phenomenal. It's Lunar AI database. think the knowledge content gives an encyclopedia some competition. A combination of factual knowledge and general knowledge. Though it can give wrong responses. It can be confused. If you type the wrong thing, you get it's garbage in, garbage out. And also some opinion-based stuff. It may have picked up the opinions anywhere from whatever data the original thing was compiled from. But as you can see, though, it is working quite nicely. It's getting a bit warm. The fan is running to keep it cool, but it's quite functional. And that's on a little thing. I got that one off eBay. It's not the fastest you can get by any means. They've been out a few years. The fastest one in that exact form factor that looks the same, that's a Xavier NX, Jetson X Xavier NX. There's a Jetson Orin, which you can also get in a 16 gigabyte version, which is the amount of RAM you need to run this type of model, which looks virtually identical, similar power consumption, everything. 5 times faster. This is 20 teraops. The Orin in the same form factor is at 100 teraops. So the responses would be completed in I would expect in 1/5 of the time. But I can't justify buying one of those just to experiment with this type of system. But if anyone wants me to actually build a setup and test it on one of those, if you want to contribute one, that's up to them. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting development, and all credit to the people that have written and optimized this KobaldCPP, whatever it's called, KobaldAI Lite system that this is running on, or this is using to run the database, because that is incredibly effective. Cobalt C++, and I will add links to that. It did need some slight modifications to compile on the Jetson, because this is an ARM CPU, and I think they'd only tested it on x86 CPUs, on PC processor style. But there's nothing much complex, and I will try and sort out the differences. There's about 3 files that need some slight modifications, just so it uses the correct libraries and locations of files and knows the right system to use, what processor it is and what capabilities the language the compiler's got. But there's nothing phenomenal. All the actual main program runs as is. I mean, there's some definitions for the libraries, and there's something in the CUDA library section that needs some slight mods, so it knows what CUDA capabilities it's got and what device it is. But other than that, all the main code just compiles as is, and runs quite nicely, as you can see. Anyway, so if that's been a bit longer draw out, and I hope it's been some interest. So if you've got anything you'd like me to ask the system to test it out, put it in the comments, and I'll run it up again and try it. I know that I don't know if that camera's still running even. How's that stopped? Has the battery gone flat? No, that the camera that was looking at it seems to have given up, or I didn't start it recording or something like that. Not quite sure now. Oh, it recorded something, I don't know what. So hopefully there's a bit of it at least boot up, showing it how it's connecting and starting. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. Before I waffle too much, and I hope it's been of interest.